are many opportunities to keep your mouth shut. Take advantage of them. I've been talking about silence the last couple of weeks. Several weeks ago when I looked at Exodus 14:14, I thought it would be interesting to go and see what the rest of the Bible has to say about that word, be silent. The Lord will fight for you. You have only to be silent. Well, today I'm going to share another example from the Bible about this idea of silence. But first, this quote, silence is golden, speech is silver. You get it? Gold is more valuable than silver. Silence is more valuable than speech. I heard a story about a doctor who asked his patient to stick out her tongue while he continued writing out her prescription. When he had finished, he turned to her and said, "That'll do." "But doctor," she said, "you never even looked at my tongue." To which he replied, "I didn't need to see your tongue. I just wanted you to keep quiet so I could write your prescription." Sometimes it seems that people who have the most to say actually have very little to say. There are lots of words, but I don't hear anything worth listening to. Maybe it's because I tend to be more of an introvert, but I tend to get a little bit skeptical when people talk a lot. I find myself questioning their motives and checking their facts. This reminds me of another quote. Maybe you've heard it. "It's better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt." While we aren't actually sure who first stated that quote, I think we can all agree to its truth. Have you ever sat in a meeting and there's that one guy or one girl who always feels like he or she has to say something? There's that one person that feels the need to speak up, give their opinion, or ask a question to make everyone in the room think that they are super smart people. Meanwhile, everybody else in the room is thinking, well, they just removed all doubt. After looking at Exodus chapter 14, verse 14, the Lord will fight for you, you have only to be silent. I want us now jump to Proverbs chapter 17, where another instance of this idea of silence is mentioned in the Bible. Proverbs 17, verses 27 and 28. "Whoever restrains his words has knowledge, and he who has a cool spirit is a man of understanding. Even a fool who keeps silent is considered wise. When he closes his lips, he is deemed intelligent." Whoever restrains his words refers to the person who has learned to control their speech. They have learned to limit what they say. They have learned to be a person of few words. That person has knowledge, according to verse 27. A person who has knowledge is referring to a person who is experienced and mature, someone who has good judgment. The verse could be restated in this way: whoever has learned to limit what they say is someone who is learning to be wise. An experienced person will avoid talking too much. It is the way of the wise to speak little. And then verse 28, man, I love verse 28. "Even a fool who keeps silent is considered wise. When he closes his lips, he is deemed intelligent." Maybe I love this verse so much because it applies so much to me, but also I've met people who need to listen to this verse. Profundity, not verbosity, is the mark of wisdom. Instead of saying something foolish, it would be better if you just didn't say anything at all. With silence, even a fool can hide their foolishness. And in the process of keeping silent, that person has time to collect themselves, to reflect on what they might want to say, and this gives them the opportunity to begin growing in wisdom. While it is true that the way in which believers speak should reflect their calling as Christians, sometimes it is the way in which we keep silent which will even better reflect our calling as Christians. Just as our speech should be sincere and God-honoring, so should our silence. Sometimes You don't have to say anything. Preach the word at all times. If necessary, use words. It's the wise ones who don't say anything when nothing really needs to be said at all. The Bible Knowledge Commentary sums it up in this way. A wise man is cautious in what he says. He thinks before he talks, and he does not gab. This reveals that he is even-tempered. Restraint in talking may even cause a fool to be considered wise. What about you? How does this verse apply to you? And if you say, oh, it doesn't apply to me at all, might I suggest that you are the very one that this verse applies to? May we learn to restrain our tongues as we seek to gain wisdom in our moments of silence.